Alright. Hello everyone, my name is Science Viking, and today I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of Dark Souls, as you may be able to guess from the opening. Now, part of the point of this Let's Play is to give people who are interested in the Souls series, or interested in Dark Souls in particular, but aren't really sure they can handle it. You know, with all the talking about how incredibly hard this game is, and frankly, as somebody who's played it a lot, Dark Souls is incredibly hard. I can understand why some people might be put off because they feel like they might just not be able to handle it, even if they'd otherwise like the game. So the point of this Let's Play is going to be to show new players some tricks that they can use to, well, survive, to make things easier, because one of the issues with Dark Souls is that it doesn't ever really explain anything. It just sort of drops you in the middle and hopes you'll figure it out. So I'm going to do a playthrough of this game as a relatively easy to use and easy to understand character build, and I'm going to explain how I do all this stuff and why I do things the way that I do it, so that other players can kind of have a guide to work off of when getting into this game themselves. Alright, let's start. Need to be on the right window. New game. Alright, step one, I need to name the character. I'm going to just kind of first click on the window and enter. And it says enter a character name for some reason. And just call this character Viking. Sex, I feel like going with male. Sue me. And for appearance, I'm going to go with eerie green small. Not going to pay a huge amount of attention to what this character looks like. Alright, class. There are a lot of classes. And what you get when you look at each class is just a picture of them, their starting stats, and a brief description of, a kind of poetic sounding description of what they do. This, I know it was for me, and likely would be for a lot of people, starts off as kind of overwhelming. You know, you don't really get a clear sense of what exactly you should play as, what class is well suited to you, and some of the information is a little unclear on its own. For example, they say the hunter class is weak with magic, but they're not any worse at it than the warrior or the bandit. So, to start off with this, I would say, let's narrow it down to 3 classes that are relatively easy to use out of the box for your first character. So, you're welcome to play any of the other classes the rest of the time, and frankly, they're all very fun. This isn't like the other classes are bad, but when you're first starting off, I really recommend that you play as either a knight, a warrior, or a pyromancer. Those are the classes that are the easiest to use right out of the box. The other classes have a fairly steep learning curve, and Dark Souls has a really steep learning curve anyway, so I'd say start off with one of these because they're relatively uncomplicated. For the Knight class, they have a lot of HP right at the start. They start off with a really good set of armor. It's possible to get that armor for yourself later in the game if you don't start off as a Knight, but it takes a while. And they start with pretty good strength and dexterity, and actually pretty respectable faith. What that means is Knights are durable. And so if you want to play as a character who's really tough and can take a lot of damage before they go down, then the Knight is the class for you. Basically, it gives you a wider margin of error, so if you miss a dodge or don't block in time or just you don't quite have the boss's movement patterns down, the Knight will give you that extra room to mess up and still survive that other classes won't have. Also, the Knight's starting faith is high enough that they can learn some basic healing spells, which means that they can have even more durability. You now have the ability to use magic to heal yourself between fights or even during them for time ability, which means that you can, which gives you even more ability to just take a licking and keep on ticking, basically. The warrior class is good if you want to be more offense-oriented. They start off with high strength and dexterity, which are the stats responsible for running up and hitting people. Basically, some weapons deal more damage if you have high strength, and other weapons deal more damage if you have high dexterity. They start off with pretty good vitality, but not as high as the Knight, and they start off with high endurance. What endurance does is it determines how much stamina you have, which determines how many times you can hit somebody before you have to stop and catch your breath for a second. So warriors are basically good at just running at the enemy and hitting them over and over again until the enemy goes down, and you just need to remember to dodge or block at the right moment. But unlike some of the other physical offense-oriented classes like Wanderer or Thief or Bandit, warriors have plenty of health and pretty good starting armor, and a really nice starting shield, I can say from experience. So they still have a decent amount of durability if you mess up, whereas the other classes really don't. And the last class you can start as is Pyromancer, if it will let me select Pyromancer. They are the magic class of the group. They start off with the ability to throw fireballs around and can get other spells. The reason why I recommend Pyromancer, I almost said Pyromancer, rather than Sorcerer or Cleric, the other two magic classes, is that they're simpler, basically. The way pyromancy works is slightly different than the way the other two kinds of sorceries and miracles work, so that it's easier to use and less complicated. The other reason why I like the pyromancer is because they have a low starting level. The way that works is, in Dark Souls, you can spend a certain number of souls at a bonfire to level up your character. Each level costs a few more souls than the previous level. Now, not all classes start at level 1. Knight starts at level 5, Warrior starts at level 4, Pyromancer starts at level 1. So it will cost more souls to level up a Knight the first time, right out of the box, than it would cost to level up a Warrior, and it costs more souls to level up a Warrior than it would to level up a Pyromancer. This means that the Pyromancer has more opportunity to take them in a different direction right out of the box. Since your first few levels as a Pyromancer won't cost as much, you have more opportunity to decide you really don't like their starting stat distribution and go in a completely different direction. Whereas for a class that starts at higher level, you're kind of committed to what they want to be. And the one class you really should not play as if you're starting the game is Deprived. The Deprived is deliberately meant for challenge runs. They're actually worse than any of the other classes, so don't, unless you're actually already pretty good at this game. Okay, let's choose our Pyromancer. It wants me to play a Sorcerer or Cleric for some reason. And this shows our starting equipment, but obviously if you haven't played Dark Souls before, you won't really know what this stuff is. Now we choose our gift. The gifts I would organize into a few categories. The first category only has one item in it, and that's the Master Key. The Master Key is the only thing you can't get in any other way. You can get the Master Key if you either play as a thief or choose it as your starting gift, but if you don't get it at character creation, you can't get it. And what it does is it opens up certain locked doors. Now, any door the Master Key can unlock, there's also a key for that door elsewhere in the game that you can use. So the Master Key is not the only way to get to anything. But first of all, it allows you to get to some places earlier than you're supposed to, and can be used to skip one of the more frustrating areas in this game. And second of all, some of the keys that you would get to other than the Master Key cost souls. Yeah, souls are both money and experience in this game. And so it allows you to save money, which is always kind of scarce in Dark Souls, if you have the Master Key. So the Master Key is a pretty good choice for your starting, but I'm not going to do it, because if I were to get the Master Key for this Let's Play, my options would be to either never use it, in which case there's no point in getting it because I'm not using it, or if I did use it, then it would mean not showing people how you would do certain things if you didn't have the Master Key. And so if other people who are following along on this Let's Play don't have the Master Key, then they can't use this Let's Play as a guide. So instead, I'm going to get something other than the Master Key, but I'm going to show you areas throughout the game where you would use the Master Key to do something. The ones I would seriously consider getting, actually, are the other than the Master Key, are the Twin Humanities and the Black Fire Bombs. Black Fire Bombs are basically grenades that you can use. You start off with 10 of them if you take the gift. And there's also a treasure chest relatively early where you can get more of. But the point is, you will eventually be able to just buy black fire bombs, but it won't be until quite a ways into the game. And so what starting with them does is it gives you some extra firepower right at the beginning of the game when you're at your weakest and most need some extra firepower. The other one I would seriously consider is the twin humanities. The humanity mechanic is a bit complicated, so I'm not going to go into exactly how it works right now, especially since I can't demonstrate things, but basically, you never have too much humanity, so having more humanity is always useful. One that you kind of think you'd want to get is the Goddess's Blessing, because it's a healing item that just instantly fully heals you and cures all your status effects. But the thing is, just from experience, you can get some Goddess's Blessings later in the game as just loot. I never end up using them. I guess maybe that's just me. I always end up wanting to save them for something sometimes even more desperate, but I never end up using them. The other reason is because usually when I die, it's not because I ran out of ways to heal myself. It's because something managed to hit me enough times that I just died before I got a chance to. So having more healing doesn't really make much of a difference for me in survivability. But it might make sense as a starting gift if you're planning on playing like a knight or some other really tough build, though I didn't pick it even when I did play as a knight myself. The next is the Tiny Being Ring. Now, one important thing to remember, because I started with this gift when I first played through the game, and I was really disappointed, because its description is a lie. The Tiny Being Ring does not cause you to regenerate health. The Tiny Being Ring increases your maximum health by a little bit. I don't really recommend it. It's not terrible. It is somewhat useful, but it will end up being replaced relatively early, even if you have it, so I don't really recommend it. The binoculars, the last three are ones I wouldn't really recommend for a first player at all. The binoculars, first of all, you can find them on the ground really early in the game. I'll show you where you can get them. And second of all, frankly, in Dark Souls 1, I don't use the binoculars. I use them in Dark Souls 2 all the time because you can use them to snipe with magic, but I never really end up using them in Dark Souls 1. Finally, next is the Old Witch's Ring. The Old Witch's Ring does not really help you in any way. It allows you to talk to one NPC and hear what they say. This doesn't actually give you any information or access to any services you otherwise wouldn't get. All it does is it gets some dialogue you otherwise wouldn't hear. So it's pretty much purely for flavor. It adds something to the narrative, but that's all it does. So I wouldn't really recommend it since it won't do... I wouldn't recommend it for a new player. One of my characters did take the Old Witch's Ring, but it won't do anything to make surviving in Dark Souls easier. And the last is the pendant. It literally doesn't do anything. The developers even said so. But some people went a little bit crazy obsessing over ways to figure out what the pendant does, even though the pendant does not do anything. So, don't get the pendant. Now, I'm going to go with the black fire bombs. I've gone over what options you guys might want, but I'm going to go with these. And like I said, I'll show you where you can use the master key. There are a few particularly notable ones. But firebomb, now for my character's appearance. Physique, I like going with silk. And then hair, I'll go with wild. That's basically what my hair looks like right now anyway. Hair color, let's try light brown. Alright, I don't feel like going into any more detail about customizing my appearance. Let's go. Here's these characters. And cue opening cutscene. I'll get the mouse
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed.
The
shrouded
opening cutscene in
by
Dark
fog.
Souls 1, first of all, in my opinion, is a lot.
A land of grey crags,
too.
arch trees,
But it doesn't make
everlasting
any sense at
dragons.
first. Like, it's cool, but when you first play the game, you
But
won't
then
understand
there was
really why
fire.
this is happening. You only get
And with
context for
fire
those events later.
came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came, and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead.
Pretty easy. Like, seriously, he is a skeleton composed of other skeletons.
The Witch of Izalith
But
and her daughters of Chaos.
I have played through this game multiple
Gwyn,
times. Like,
the Lord of Sunlight,
what Nito actually
and his faithful
Frankly,
knights,
if any of you guys have any better idea than I do what he is, feel free to post it in the
and the
comments.
furtive pygmy,
Everything
so
else, once you
easily
play through the
forgotten.
game, everything else being what it is and looking the way it does, at least sort of makes sense. But I have no idea
with the strength
how
of
it
lords,
is that Nito
they
is
challenged the
skeleton
dragons.
It's never really discussed.
Gwyn's
Just there.
mighty bolts cleaned apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath, the scales, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus
Take notes, 'cause there
began
will be a test
the
later.
Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade,
That's something Dark Souls
and only dark
There's some
will
really
remain.
interesting looking environments.
Even now, there are only embers,
Oh, look, this is
and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark sign.
And this is what loading screens look like. They give us information on various items. I would have preferred actual loading screen hints, but
Yes,
you
indeed.
get what you get.
The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Or me, I guess. Thanks, dude. A corpse, just what I always wanted. Alright, before we do anything else, I'm going to introduce the controls a little bit. If you're playing on the PC version, you're going to have a bit of a challenge because when they ported this to the PC, they didn't actually change the tutorials, so the tutorials all assume you're using an Xbox controller, which you're probably not. So the first thing to do if you're playing on PC is to hit End, use the arrow keys to navigate all the way over to the right, hit Enter, and then select Key Settings. And now you navigate with the arrow keys, you can check what all of the different button prompts actually are, and you can change them if you want, but this way you can actually know what the controls do. I'll also introduce various controls, the PC versions of various controls, as they come up. Secondly, on the PC, you'll probably realize that you can use the mouse to control the camera and then left and right click for light and heavy attack. That's fine, but personally, I don't actually like doing that. You have the other option of using I, J, K, and L to move the camera around, along with W, A, S, and D to walk, and then H is light attack and U is heavy attack. I always feel like I have way more control if I do it that way than if I use the mouse. So on PC, for PC gamers, I really recommend that. Alright, let's get moving. In addition to the other buttons, Q, A is, on the Xbox controller, is Q on the keyboard, is the select button. So let's grab the dungeon cell key, and now let's open the door. Now, one of the most important commands you will ever learn is dodge roll. That is spacebar. Like the little roll, you're going to be doing a lot of this, and you're going to be watching me do a lot of this. If you hold down spacebar, you can sprint. And you'll see I just gained some souls. You use souls to level up, and you also use souls to buy things, and you use souls to repair your equipment. If you hold down spacebar, you can sprint. If you tap spacebar while sprinting, you jump. There are one, maybe 2 places in the entire game. So for the most part, don't bother jumping. But yes, in Dark Souls, to jump, you tap spacebar while holding spacebar. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Bullying the other inmates, I guess. I feel so powerful. You may wonder why I'm not using my fireballs. Well, you may not wonder because these enemies are pretty weak, but the reason is because I can't. In order to cast a spell, you have to have an item called a spell catalyst in your left hand, and I don't have a spell catalyst right now. I'll get that partway through the tutorial. Alright, let's look around here. This door does not open from this side. That means that we'll be coming back here later. This is a bonfire. Yeah, quick light bonfire. Resting at a bonfire fully heals you, and when you die, you will reappear at the last bonfire you rested at. Okay, let's go through this door, or the place we can go. Right. That heavy, slow opening door is not ominous at all. Okay, read this message. Get away! And I don't feel like being full of I don't want to fight this kind of stuff. Of course, I have no way of healing myself other than running back to the bonfire. I don't have any way of healing myself other than running back to the bonfire, and if I use that to heal myself, I'm healing myself too. So it's over. Okay. You guys know it's called a butt slam attack. I did not come up with that. I wish I had. I'm close to it. I can see I'm doing very little damage to it because I'm not using a broken sword. And I'm gone. You know, you're going to do a little damage on your team. I get the hunch from him that he wasn't supposed to fight that yet. And the answer is that you're not. I did do that for a reason, though. Oh. It dropped me back here. It's supposed to drop me back at the other bonfire. I guess just lighting a bonfire... Well, let that be a lesson to you. Just lighting a bonfire doesn't make it the place where you respawn. You have to actually rest at it. Still learn that. And I guess that also answers the question of where you respawn if you haven't rested at that bonfire. You respawn in yourself. Alright. I actually did this for a reason, just to demonstrate how death works in this game. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that when I died, my soul counter was reset to 0. And it was. Now, right now, the camera is pointed at a blood stain with a greenish haze hovering over it. That is where I died, and that blood stain contains all my souls. I'm going to run up to it and hit Q, and I got my souls back. Alright, now I'm going to actually follow instructions this time. This guy falls down. Now I run through this door. bars fall down and he can't follow me. Of course, the bars aren't really what stop him from following me. It's the fact that he's gigantic. Yes, we have the option to attune magic, but we can't really attune magic. Alright, and in this hallway there's an archer, and a message that says, get your shield. If you run up here, try to avoid being shot, grab the shield. For this character, that's the cracked round shield. Other characters start with different shields. Then hit end to go to the menu, select change equipment, and in the left hand, hit the cracked round shield. If you put your shield in your right hand, you'll try to use it as a weapon. Now you hold shift to raise the shield to guard with it, or hit tab to parry with it. But you can't really parry arrows unless you're a Jedi. I'm not one. So I'm just going to hold my shield up, chase after this guy. Until he comes after me. Alright, he's retreated up there. Now I'm going to grab this, which is my weapon. The hand axe. That's this class's actual starting weapon. You know, replace the broken sword hilt with the hand axe. Also, something you may have noticed, in Dark Souls, you cannot pause. The game continues while you're looking through menus, so make sure you only do that somewhere safe. Alright. Who's laughing now? Well, nobody, really. Alright, kill that guy. And now we have our first fog wall. You have to hit Q to traverse the white light to pass through a fog wall. Passing through a fog wall will always progress you towards the end. It's not like you can't turn back. You can easily go back through the other way if you want. It's just basically a fog wall is just an indication that you're going in the right direction. But the other thing about a fog wall is that there is always a fog wall before a boss fight. There isn't always a boss fight after a fog wall, but you will always have a fog wall before a boss fight. So if you see one, get ready because there might be a boss on the other side. It's the first time I've succeeded in dodging that. And that cannonball opened up a path here. Go through here, talk to this guy.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I are both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Yeah. You gave me the key to my cell, I'll hear you out.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the Undead Asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart.
We have a quest!
Oh,
yay.
One more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite.
We just got an Estus flask.
Oh, and this.
And the key.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now. And thank you.
Alright. The Estus flask is our basic healing. We hit F. It's already been added to our quick item bar, which you can access here. Here you can add any usable item in your inventory to your quick item bar, but since the Estus flask and the fire bombs are the only things worth putting there, I'm not going to add anything right now. Then you hit F to cycle through them and hit E to use one. Now, let's run up here. You know, I still took some damage even though I blocked. That's because this shield doesn't block 100% of physical damage, it only blocks most of it. There are better shields you can get that will actually block 100% of physical damage. The warrior class even starts off with one. Now we took some damage, I want to heal myself, so I'm going to use my Estus flask. And now we're down to 4 uses of it. Alright, I go down here, and through this door is the bonfire that we lit earlier. We have made it to the other side of that door. I'm going to rest here. Make sure that this is where I spawn. But that also refills my Estus flask. It would have also fully healed me if I had taken any damage when I rested there. That's the way your Estus flask works. Whenever you rest at a bonfire, it is restored to having 5 uses. Certain special bonfires will restore it up to 10, and it's possible fairly late in the game to get the ability to make bonfires restore it up to 20. but that actually costs you something. So your Estus Flask will be the main way that you heal yourself. The other thing is, every time you rest at a bonfire, every enemy is brought back to life. Also, you may have noticed I just got a Pyromancy Flame off of that corpse there. This was kind of dragon for the first real fight. Now, to equip the Pyromancy Flame, I'm going to hit N, and equip it in the second slot in my left hand, the same slot as the shield. Now, when I hit C, it will switch between equipping the Pyromancy Flame and the shield. Alright, let's kill this archer guy. Standard technique, just hold up the shield to block his arrows. I'll try to melee you if you get close. This enemy in here is a bit tougher. Alright, maybe come at me. Ow. That was me. Alright, I feel like using fire against him. But, as you can see, the fireballs do quite a bit of damage. On the other side of this is the room we were in before that has the asylum, that boss. We are going to want to fight it. We're going to have to fight it for real now. Now, since we're actually properly equipped, we have a decent chance of winning. So I guess it's time for some payback. And this time you can tell there's a boss in here because the fog wall did not disappear. Since he's beneath us, we can do a plunging attack by just stepping off to the right. This will do a whole bunch of free damage to him, and cause you not to take damage from the fall. You would take damage from the fall. Now let's observe his behavior. He has a few attacks. He has that broad sweep attack. And you see that he got hit when I showed him. He has that vertical drop attack. Now, there's a trick to this. You'll see that I got knocked out of my fireball. You can't just use your magic every time you get every time you're not stunned, because your opponent interrupt the action. The same thing with healing. You'll notice that I didn't heal myself the instant I took the damage, because that would have required me to stand still for a second and take more damage. One of the most common one of the most common rookie mistakes in Dark Souls is to try to do something the moment that it becomes helpful for you to do it. The problem is, often it's something that requires you to stand still for a moment, and thus leaves you vulnerable. Fireball on him. Yeah, I'm rather proud. Okay, he's going to use the butt slam again. There's one fireball away from taking damage. But note that I usually wait until after he finishes an attack to launch a fireball, because that's when your boss is most vulnerable. That's true of all bosses in Dark Souls, pretty much. The moment after they finish attacking is the moment when they're most vulnerable and you can hurt them. And also, we also got a humanity for winning that, and 2,000 souls. Let's rest of the bonfire to heal up and before we have. Then you'll notice that I got more fireballs. Whatever spells you have attuned have a limited number of charges, so there are a limited number of uses of each spell. Those will then be restored when you rest at the bonfire. That's how this game handles mana, basically, rather than having a mana meter or something. One of the significant issues with this is that spell charges do not regenerate, and there's no way to restore them except resting at a bonfire, which also causes all the enemies to come back except the bosses. So you do have to be careful and think carefully about when to use your fireballs. And we have a cutscene, because we finished the Northern Undead Asylum.
In the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen.
Taxi! Flying taxi is really nice.
Leave the Undead Asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
Which is not Drangleic. And people who've played Dark Souls 2 might get that joke. It's a really great view here. And see all these places? We're going to be going to all of them. Pretty much everything you see in this opening bird's eye view is actually reachable. Let me drop this here. Lordran, level up and kindle bonfires. And we've made it to Firelink Shrine. This is probably a good place to call it for this video. It's already made it to be... This video is already going to be pretty long anyway. So I'll see you next time where we pick up at Firelink Shrine and learn various important things like how to level up your character, what humanity does, and that you really do not want to mess with skeletons. Thank you. I love you all. See you next time.